Hello, me lovelies. Just thought I'd do this video on my views on this Bob Vylan situation where at Glastonbury he said something which has caused a great outrage. Now, as you can tell by me, I've been around for many decades and I can remember the 1970s when a phenomenon called the Sex Pistols suddenly were launched onto the music scene. I wasn't quite a teenager. I was moving towards my teenage years at the time. But I can remember the outrage about them. Total outrage. And people were asking them to be banned, to be tried for treason, especially over God Save the Queen. But it was really controversial. Very, very controversial. But as a child, I was absolutely amazed and fascinated by these wonderful peacocks that started appearing on the streets. These Mohicans, or Mohawks if you want to call them, and amazing in makeup and amazing clothes. I just found this all so fascinating and appealing. And it was very provocative. What the Sex Pistols saying, especially John Lydon, he never had a filter on his mouth. And he said things that a lot of youths at the time were feeling in the country. But much more controversial than what's happening over Bob Vylan or happened over Kneecap. Much more controversial. I mean, the Sex Pistols lived it. They did live it. They just didn't come out with sound bites. They lived what their philosophy was at the time. So that makes me think, why are people taking this so seriously? Look, artists, depending what kind of arts they're in, but most arts thrive off publicity. And to get publicity, an easy way to get publicity, a cheap way to get publicity, a lazy way to get publicity is to be provocative and say something that will stir up people's emotions, anger, rage, or even support. And that's what Bob Vylan has done here. I don't think when Kneecap did what they did, they didn't do it on a worldwide stage. It's just that they were caught out during a concert. But it wasn't anything done like Bob Vylan did, shouting out in front of cameras that he knew was going to be on a worldwide stage. But do I think Bob Vylan is doing it more than trying to get attention for himself? No. I mean, I might be wrong, but I don't think he's tearing his dreads out and banging his chest in sympathy and compassion and grief over the Palestinian people when he said that. I think he was just thinking, oh, here we are, I'm going to get the publicity. And as you can see by the post he put on X, that seems to indicate that he did. Now people are going on, oh, he should be arrested, should be investigated for all sorts. Look, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care what he said. And I don't care what Kneecap said. Because I don't take entertainers seriously, because I worked in the industry, not as a musician or a singer, but worked in the industry long enough to know the games that are played. And I don't take it seriously. I really don't. So, to me, people should just sit back and relax. And by taking such things seriously and causing a big commotion about it, you give the individual exactly what they want. I didn't know there was such an artist as Bob Vylan before yesterday. I didn't know. How many people out there knew there was an artist called Bob Vylan? Before we heard all the commotion over Kneecap, how many of us actually knew there was a band called Kneecap? Now everyone knows. Everyone knows, especially in the UK. I think it's just let these artists do what artists have done for millennia. Be provocative. Say things that do stir up conversation, do stir up interest. Look, let's look at someone like, and I've said this about Katie Hopkins in the past. I mean, you're talking about going from the left to going to the right. Katie Hopkins could be extremely controversial in the things that came out of her mouth, but at times she could get a conversation going that needed to be had. And this is where I'm saying, don't take people seriously. Do you think people are going to go out after what Bob Vylan said, or what Kneecap said, and actually do what they were telling people to do? Do you think they're going to do it? I don't think so. Well, I hope they don't. Maybe there might be a maniac out there that might be inspired by this, but I think the chances are remote. I hope I'm right in saying that, but I think it's remote. I think the important issue, which I can understand that people are getting upset about, some people, is people like Lucy Connolly, who's been put in prison, serving a prison sentence for a tweet, when these artists, and we know from Kneecap, nothing's been done to them over what they said. I think it was 2023, wasn't it? It was said a long time ago. A bit late in the day to start taking action against them, but I can understand why people are getting upset that some people are serving prison sentences for tweets when they're doing similar things and they're not being taken into account. So I can understand that, but at the end of the day, right, especially if you're long in the tooth, I'll say long in the tooth like I am, think back to when you were young. You found this all very thrilling. I found the Sex Pistols so thrilling and amazing. When people did stunts, artists did stunts, singers, you used to think, oh wow, it would really, really be, exciting. People forget simple things like, Boy George Culture Club was considered way out back then. A boy, a man, wearing makeup and looking like a girl, and being popular and being a success. Oh my God, that was horrendous to the older generations. Horrendous. Go back before then. The Beatles with the mop tops, the long hair was considered outrageous. Remember at one time Elvis Presley in the States was considered outrageous, and people were asking for him to be banned because of his vulgarity with his thrusts, his hip thrusts. So just let the youth have their moment. That's what I say. It'd be boring if all the groups were all the same and all were very, very careful what they said. It'd be very boring. The entertainers, at the end of the day, that's what I'm saying. They're entertainers. Don't take it seriously. Don't take it seriously. They're entertainers. And enjoy it for what it is. Entertainment. Or get angry and annoyed by what they're saying. How dare they? But asking for people to be arrested and, prosecuted. Oh, come on. That's exactly what happened to Lucy Connolly and others. They've been prosecuted because other people were outraged by what they said. This being outraged, and someone's got to go to prison. We've got to go to prison. Oh my God, lock them up to them for treason. Oh, get real. Just people are, no one's, I'd say, please God, I'm right in saying this, no one's going to go out and do anything daft just because Bob Vylan said it or Kneecap said it. Like they weren't going to go out and do what Lucy Connolly said. But sadly, Lucy Connolly is inside, which is unfair, and hopefully she'll be released soon enough. Anyway, I'll leave that, my lovelies. Bye-bye for now.